Welcome everyone, my name is Nicolas Ducoulombier and I am currently a PhD candidate in Laboratoire Navier located near Paris. I am very glad to present my work in the second International Conference on Concrete and Digital Fabrication. The subject of my presentation is a new strategy for inline assessment of yield stress for extrusion-based additive manufacturing named the slug test. This work was funded by Labex MMCD and it is a part of the research made on digital fabrication at Laboratoire Navier. The printing facilities are a part of building a co-innovation lab of École des Ponts ParisTech. Building 3D printing facilities is equipped with a X3 printing head and which is mounted on a 6-axis robotic arm controlled through CAD environment by Allrobotics software. Extrusion-based additive manufacturing actually gathers various families of processes. According to recent literature, 4 different families of processes can be defined by specific deposition strategies. The oldest is maybe the slip forming, and it refers to processes where the extrusion scale is similar to the object scale. It won't be further discussed in this presentation. We focused here on the processes where a much smaller extrusion scale is used. Objects are then constructed by a layering process, often called 3D printing. Depending on the deposition method, requirements and the yield stress value at the nozzle can be significantly different. In the first strategy, called infinite break extrusion, the shape of the lathe directly relates to the nozzle geometry. The material yield stress at the nozzle needs to be sufficiently high for the lathe to remain undeformed after deposition. In the second strategy, called free flow deposition, the lathe shape results from a competition between gravitational force and yield stress. These two deposition strategies were previously studied by Russell. Finally, in the third strategy, called oriented pressing, the lathe is shaped by the nozzle exit. Then the lathe height is then equal to the distance between the nozzle and the support, while the width is higher than the nozzle diameter and follows the mass conservation. This last strategy often allows for better geometrical tolerances, but induces a supplementary force and sublayer that is roughly proportional to the yield stress. This last deposition strategy has been discussed in detail in the presentation of Paul Carnot that we highly recommend. As a conclusion, yield stress at the nozzle exit is a critical parameter to properly control the deposition for all different strategies. In fact, it also highly depends on the support orientation that can be either inclined, horizontal, or even upside down, as shown in the different picture. Such yield stress requirements for deposition on inclined support have been recently studied by Carnot. They are also investigated in the presentation of Duballet concerning a particular fabrication process of a concrete truss, shown in the left picture, that we also highly recommend. It is therefore a need to have an inline yield stress measurement at the nozzle level. But this measurement is really difficult to achieve, especially for high structuration rate material needed for a fast fabrication of slender post-lag structure. For instance, the one shown on the left picture was fabricated in 15 minutes. The high structuration rate is in this case provided by the addition of accelerator in the printing head. This high structuration rate prevents from using existing rheological apparatus such like slump or squeezing tests, as the time needed to prepare the sample will lead to an important modification of the yield stress. One could eventually think of a pressure measurement, but it will rather give information on tribological properties rather than yield stress. Others propose to perform ultrasonic pulse velocity tests to evaluate the elastic properties at the nozzle, but it only provides qualitative information unless proper calibration procedures are made for each printable mixtures. We therefore suggest in this presentation another universal method to assess the yield stress at the nozzle exit. The initial idea came from the fact that each time we had a successful printing, we noticed the presence of small slugs around the printing area. They were generated before the printing, during the approach, when the nozzle was still far above the ground. It is the idea of the slug test, And the first empirical assumption: slug formation at the nozzle correlates with successful fabrication. We therefore decided to study in depth the formation of these slugs and its underlying physics. They are in fact generated by a discontinuous flow that occurs at the nozzle exit shown on the video. First experiment showed that higher accelerant content introduced in the printing head during the extrusion goes with longer slugs. The question is then to settle if the slug mass change actually comes from the modification of the yield stress at the nozzle level. The answer is yes for food industry yield stress fluids such as ketchup or mayonnaise. Indeed, the same discontinuous flow was previously identified in this context and studied by Couso and Gollard, who provide a theoretical frame for Herschel-Buckley viscoplastic fluids. It was shown that the slug mass is mainly controlled by yield stress and eventually by viscosity for high value of extrusion speed V, whilst surface tension effect can be neglected. From this analysis, we then compute the straightforward solution for pure plastic von Mises material with a yield stress tau c. This equality is the fundamental relation of the slug test, where the right-hand term is simply the expression of the direct traction von Mises stress at the nozzle exit under self-rate, which only depends on gravitational constant g and the nozzle cross-section S. The experimental validation is then conducted on non-thixotropic material. As a consequence, the yield stress measured by the slug test can be compared with the yield stress given by the traditional SLAM test. For some experiments, the SLAM test is performed using a 280 cubic centimeters cone filled with the material just after mixing, approximately 10 minutes before the slug test, and the estimation is made using the asymptotic solution provided by Roussel and Couso. For other experiments, the standard 6-liter Abrams cone is placed under the printing head and filled with the extruded material. Slump yield stress is then estimated using the numerical solution also provided by Roussel and Couso. The mortar used for validation and also for additive fabrication in building facilities is formulated using a premix provided by Lafarge-Holcim. However, to strongly reduce thixotropic behavior, no accelerator is introduced in the mixture. Then, the different yield stress values are rather obtained by modifying water and superplasticizer contents, or by replacing the accelerator by a flocculant additive, the polyacrylamide. The blue experiments were conducted using the specific extrusion device and a simple manual protocol, while the red ones were conducted using an automatic protocol installed in the building facilities. Let us now present those both protocols. The first one is a manual protocol that only requires, in addition to the extrusion device, a simple balance and a container. For the first part of the experimental validation, the specific extrusion device, shown on the right picture, is equipped with a 10 mm diameter nozzle and used together with the manual protocol presented here. Using the fundamental relation of the slug test, the yield stress assessment can be easily performed by the collection of a given number of slugs, followed by a simple mass measurement. A single collection gives us an estimation of the yield stress, while k successive measurements are necessary to estimate a confidence interval. However, in the context of digital fabrication, it is interesting to automate the test. A specific device has then been developed connecting a balance load sensor to a computer via a standard acquisition card. A typical acquisition is illustrated on the right graph. The discontinuous flow results in a stepwise mass evolution through time as shown on the orange curve on the top graph, where each step corresponds to a new slug. An appropriate discrete derivation of the signal and a filtering procedure permits then to detect the slug impacts. More technical information are provided in the respective conference paper. The difference between each step gives the mass of each individual slug that is plotted on the following graph. Both yield stress, mean value, and confidence interval can then be automatically calculated using the same expression as the one obtained for the manual slug tests, taking the number of experiment k equal to the number of slug n. This automated slug test using our printing head equipped with a 20 mm diameter nozzle was used for the second part of the experimental validation. The number of slug n is around 30 for both manual and automatic slug tests. Finally, the slug yield stresses are plotted against the slump yield stresses. One can notice the great fit for both automatic and manual slug tests with slump tests, meaning that the slug tests give reasonably good estimation of the yield stress at the nozzle level. An interesting discussion concerns the validity of the assumption that the mortar at the nozzle is a pure plastic material. In reality, the analysis proposed by Couso and Golar suggests that this assumption would lead to an overestimation of the yield stress when the viscosity cannot be neglected, meaning for small values of yield stress. This is in qualitative agreement with the present graph. Simple ways to take into account viscosity could be imagined and will be studied in future work. To conclude, we introduce a simple test for direct inline assessment of yield stress at the nozzle level for extrusion-based additive manufacturing. Two different protocols is proposed. The first one is manual and only requires a container and a balance. The second one is an automatic procedure permitting to automatically estimate the yield stress and the confidence interval. The automatic slug test is currently performed just before each fabrication in building facilities to adjust the printing parameters with the actual yield stress and the flow rate measurements. Finally, a direct transfer to industry isn't possible. In fact, a similar system is currently being installed in X3 facilities. The main perspective of this work is the statistical information provided by the automatic slug test. When plotting the probability density of the slug mass and fitting a normal distribution to the mix 6 and 7 of the present study, significant differences concerning the standard deviation, variation, and variation coefficients can be noted between the two mixtures. To our mind, this coefficient of variation should give further information on the homogeneity of the material at the nozzle exit, which is particularly interesting when inline addition of additives such as accelerant, reinforcement, or aggregate is made during the printing. Upcoming work will tackle this issue. This will close my presentation. For more information, you can visit Building's website or follow us on SIGSHELL Facebook page. I thank you for your attention.